Good evening, Coyote fans. Welcome back to the Howling podcast. Tonight, episode 15. My name is Jordan Decker. Tonight, I am once again joined by Chad Berger and Mark Wendt. As always, catch us on X at HowlWithUs3. You can catch me on X as well at JD6OP5. Catch Mark at WDiamond605. And then catch Chad at Chad Berger. That's Berger, BIRGER, at Chad Berger. Quick disclaimer, the opinions on this show are strictly ours and not of those of the university or the athletic department. Tonight's show is once again brought to you by the Wakanda Peach Company formerly out of Wakanda, South Dakota. Wakanda Peach Company, where all your peach dreams come true. We have a great episode in store for you tonight, a lot to recap in the world of Coyote athletics and a lot to look forward to as well. So let's get started. I welcome in Chad and Mark. Welcome back. Good to see you, my friends.
How we doing?
It's been a few weeks since we've all been together here, gentlemen. So last week I was unable to join us. I was actually at the Vikings game, Minnesota Vikings, and on my way back, I had sent several text messages during the week, which Jordan responded to, but Mark's phone wasn't getting them for some reason. So on the way back, about 6:30 or 7, Mark said, "Are we doing a show tonight or no?" And we just had a little miscommunication there. So last week we had that going on, but the weeks prior to that, Mark, what was going on with you?
Yeah, so a small bit of news. We relocated from Wakanda down to Burbank, South Dakota. Got moved in actually Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. Me and the girls, and took a while to get everything unpacked and squared away and get internet fired up. So I've been absent here for what? This is a couple of weeks since I've been around. So good to be settled in the new spot, and away we go here.
Yeah, we're glad to have you back, Mark. It was a rough little stretch there without you. I know the fans kept asking me every time I went out in public. People would say, "Hey, where's the eye chart guy at? What's going on with that?"
Right.
So we also
Congrats,
have.
Mark.
I was going to say we have some sad news about the eye chart itself, Mark. On Saturday, you gave me a little bit of sad news on that. Give us an update with that.
Yeah, so iChart 2, iChart 1 was retired due to some wear and tear. iChart 2 was the current iChart that made its appearance in the SCSC. Unfortunately, it got broken in half during the move. So either we're going to go back to the OG iChart, or we're going to hop on Amazon and get iChart 3 delivered. But one way or another, there'll be an iChart come Tuesday in the SCSC, either the OG or a new one. Will to be determined.
Yeah, shout out if you're looking for if you're maybe running eye clinic or maybe retiring from an eye clinic business and looking to maybe sponsor the show, and you want to donate an eye chart for the cause, just let us know, and we'd be happy to take that from you. So give you
Our DMs are open. Yeah.
Jordan, did you have something?
Yeah, well, let's get 3. Let's make sure we match so we all have them, like how we do with the programs at games. I really like Sanford Health, the clinic in Vermillion, they do the rollout things that says Go Yotes. I like that, but let's do a vertical eye chart. So it's compact. You can fit in your back pocket.
Yes, that would be.
That might be a Temu thing. I'm not sure.
That would be handy.
Yeah. Well, go ahead, Mark.
I was just going to say the program thing that I guess we could say we started. Like, I really like that idea. I wish the whole crowd would get behind that. So if the person on the program scores, gets a rebound, whatever, wave the program.
Yeah, so we started it a few weeks ago here. Our friend Isaac Bruns was on the program, and that game, I think we mentioned it on the show. He had a career high in points that game. Fantastic game from him, and I think sometime in the first half, I noticed he was on the program, and so every time he would score, I started holding it up, and you guys were like, "What are you doing?" And all of us, I was like, he's on the program. And so, you guys ran up. I think, Jordan, you ran up and grabbed a couple programs, and
Yep.
we were doing that the whole game, and it was fun. And then this past weekend, this past Saturday, it was actually kind of fun because at the women's game, Olivia Kiefer was actually on the program, and she had a fantastic fourth quarter. And so I was holding that up every time she scored there. And then, for the men's game, we had number 14, Carter Bell, on there. And he did score a touchdown. And I don't want to give away too much information here. We'll go over that later. But we did hold that up several times from where we were seated. It was a fun time.
I think marketing has something going here. And if I may, just like a quick plug too, shout out to those folks that work on that in the Dome all year, whether it's basketball or football. Those one-sheeters where you can download the digital program, but it's got the student athlete on the front and then the rosters on the back. Our boys love them. They're hanging them up in their rooms, and they're Carter's picture, our youngest, is doing like that pose when he wants to play football in the living room and destroy everything. So really good idea with the student athletes on the front and kind of like the bigger trading card kind of look to them. So
it's glossy front, 8.5 by 11, like your standard sheet of paper size. Lots of information. There's even room if you attend a basketball game. There's room on the back. They put columns in there for points, rebounds, and fouls. If you want to keep score,
nice,
to make sure that the scorekeepers are doing their job correctly. If you want to follow along there, you can do that right on that sheet. So good stuff. I think it would be great if after the game, maybe the player who is featured on the program had a little autograph sesh for the kids to go over and maybe get those signed with some Sharpies and stuff. I just throwing it out there, maybe NIL type opportunities there. Kind of a cool idea, but definitely.
I agree with you, Chad. That's a good idea.
Yeah. It's all for the kids, right?
All for the kids and some adults.
Kids at heart.
Well, I did want to mention, if you're watching out there, if you're joining us live on YouTube, go ahead and be a part of the show, okay? Live comments are welcome. We do like to interact with fans during the show. We'll answer your questions. If you have something you want to, chime in on, just make sure to try to get it in a timely fashion. Don't bring up the Wakanda Peach Company, 54 minutes into the show. Maybe not. I mean, we'll still put it up there, but, try to stay up with us and keep track of what we're talking about at certain times. But use those live comments and be a part of the show tonight. Hopefully we get some people tuning in here. A couple things I wanted to mention, week results from this past week. We'll kind of bring those in next. The basketball teams were playing a part of this thing called the Big Sky Summit Challenge. It's something that started here, last year?
I think it was last year, yeah.
Yeah. Yep. It's kind of a cool deal. It's like, for years we always had the ACC Big Ten Challenge in big time college basketball, where all the schools from one conference play schools from another conference, and they kind of unofficially keep score on what's happening there. And it's just for fun and bragging rights and whatever else. But it's been kind of a neat deal. We've developed some interesting kind of rivalries going on there. I know Mark Wendt versus the Eastern Washington men's coach from last year developed out of this Big Sky Summit Challenge. That guy, he's not still there, is he?
He's not. He's moved on.
He left. I tried watching one of their games earlier this year just to see if he was still on there, but he did get after some Yote fans in the SCSC last year after that game.
He made the list.
But this year, the first game of the challenge, the USD men's team hosted the Bengals from Idaho State and put on a very sound beatdown there at the SCSC 94-80. Every time the Bengals tried to make a run, the Coyotes answered, promptly responded, and didn't really let them get within double digits the second half. They might have got within 9 once or twice, but for the most part, the Yotes always responded. And then, unfortunately, Saturday went out to Northern Arizona, Flagstaff, Arizona there, and kind of got the script flipped on them a little bit and ended up losing that one 95-82. We'll go through kind of some of the stats here from the game later on. The women's team traveled the first game, went out to Montana State, and laid an egg in that one, 77-46, rough loss against Montana State in that one. But then on Saturday, 11 a.m. tip-off, hosted Northern Arizona. And actually, we had hosted Northern Arizona in the WNIT last March. And so a lot of familiar faces there with that squad. And, it was a fantastic game, a fantastic second half. Just a great win, 84-79 for the Yotes. It was a fun environment. So lots of good things there. We'll go through some of those stats here in a little bit as well. Additionally, in NCAA tournament action, the football team had a big win versus the Tarleton State Texans, 42-31 on Saturday. And this is a picture from Saturday. What was going on in this picture, guys?
Something pretty cool. We were fortunate enough to be in the president's suite for the game. President Gestring's office reached out, and President Gestring and her husband had reached out and invited us podcasters at the Howling podcast and then Back the Pack to join her and her husband and other guests, and had an absolute blast. This is something that I know our family had a great time at, and such a cool view, obviously from a football fan perspective, like getting to be right at the 50, but just appreciate the generosity of President Gestring, and just had a blast. It was a really cool opportunity for everyone.
Yeah, it was surreal, really.
Yeah.
It was hard to believe we were there, and some of the people that stopped in.
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing here? No, it was fantastic. 100% would do it again. So that was amazing.
Absolutely.
Some of those people that stopped in, we should have talked to them about sponsorships for the podcast. Come
Yes,
to think of it.
Well, yeah, if any of them are watching, go ahead and hit us up in the DMs. The DMs are open, so just go ahead and do that. But yeah, Keith and President Gestring were just absolutely gracious hosts. They were very talkative, very knowledgeable about football as well. And I will say this, as much as I tease, you, Jordan, about your questioning maybe some play calls here and there, President Gestring also kind of did have a few choice questions that she had regarding some of the game plan from the coaching staff in the game. But
I tell you what was great, Chad and Mark, was like, at first I was like, okay, I'm going to be cheering, right? But it's like, this is the president's suite. Like, what's okay? And Jake and Grant from Back the Pack were there as well, obviously. And like seeing them get rowdy and then seeing President Gestring getting rowdy, I'm like, okay, good. I can be really, really rowdy.
Right.
And then to have former President Abbott there as well, and seeing him get into the game too, I was like, this is awesome. You're not just there to sit on your hands. Everyone, just so fans know, like, even in the president's suite, like, they are getting into it. So if you're a fan that sits on their hands during games, don't.
Yeah, get into
so
it.
Cool, though. So cool. Great opportunity. It was just surreal. I like that word, Mark. Surreal.
Yes, 100%.
So I don't know. Do you guys want to say anything? Like the menu. Like what was different about watching it, other than the view? What was different about watching it in the president's suite versus?
I tell you what, I was stress eating the hell out of those wings. That third, like the middle of the third quarter, I lost count, Chad. I don't even want to guess. All I know is I need to hit the gym tomorrow.
Wings and some sort of steak type tacos, and there was a fridge there, and it was full of goodies, and we worked on it.
We did not go away hungry or thirsty. We'll say that.
No.
We enjoyed ourselves, and like I said earlier, the president and her husband Keith were absolutely fantastic hosts, and we'd be up for doing it again if we're 1-0 in that president suite. So.
Never lost sitting there.
Yeah.
Never lost.
I'll wear the same shirt. I don't even care. I know exactly the outfit. Plan on doing it again next Saturday. So I know, Chad, you're not that kind of guy though, right? Like, where you're standing, where you're moving, like
I'm not a luck guy. I don't believe in luck or any of that stuff. I'm a very firm in my faith and in So I'll stick with the things that I believe, and if others want to believe different things, that's fine. But
I'm not saying, speaking of faith, I'm not saying, but also inviting a priest to the game, I think added something. I'm just saying.
okay.
Shout out
So
Father Nick.
Jordan actually had a little conundrum here. He was planning on attending the game and sitting with his parents and his priest. And then we got the invitation to sit in the president's suite. And Jordan, in the our group text, he said, I don't know what I should do. And I said, well, your parents will definitely forgive you, and your priest has to forgive you. That's literally his job. So, it's one of those things where, you can take advantage of it.
And Father Nick Heyer is his name. He's a USD grad. He graduated in 2013. That was the first time he had been back since he graduated. So he was in awe of the dome and all the renovations, and had a great time.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk a little bit about that then. I kind of skimmed over this, but the volleyball team unfortunately made the NCAA tournament, but lost 3-0 to Creighton. So we'll go through that here in a little bit as well. But let's go through the game and kind of how things turned out. The Tarleton State Texans came into the dome. They thought that they were going to have a great day. They brought their band. They brought a pretty decent sized fan base for being from that far away. They may have had some type of a social media presence that may have gotten kicked out of a local establishment Friday night in Vermilion. Little rowdiness coming along. But they came out the first half and gave the Yotes a run for their money. Honestly, right away, first drive, put up a touchdown. And, of course, we've seen this before this season, right? So we all kind of looked at each other and said, okay, that's, we'll take the first punch here and respond. And, of course, that's what the Yotes did. But then, second quarter, they did kind of hold us up a little bit and went into halftime with a 21-14 lead. Fortunately for the Yotes, there was a second half. So in the second half, both teams got a touchdown in the third quarter, but then the Yotes outscored the Texans 21-3 in the fourth quarter to win the game 42-31. You can see some of the leaders here. TSU's quarterback had 379 yards passing. Their running back, who was a really spectacular running back, was held to 86 yards. And I believe didn't have a carry longer than 8 yards on the game.
Correct.
So held him kind of in check. But their wide receiver core, oh my goodness, we're going to talk a few names here and see some things that they did. But you can also see some of the numbers up here for the Yotes. Nice thing about the game, it was a little right around 3 hours. I don't know who was controlling the AC, but it was a little cool in there. 71. Usually it's 72 in the dome for these games. We'll have to get on the athletic department there, the facility staff, and figure out what's going on.
You take that, Texans.
We made it really cold for them.
Dipped it down 1 degree.
Yep.
Is that why they were trying to act tough with those pictures on early Saturday, not wearing shirts? Like they were just like, oh yeah, look at us tough Texans in the cold tundra of the Dakota Dome.
The official attendance here was 6,231. It wasn't sold out. It wasn't as much as there was for the NDSU game, but it still was a good crowd, and it was a very active crowd, and so that was kind of exciting. We might talk about that here in a little bit as well. But as far as the scoring summary goes, we mentioned the Texans got off to a quick start. They took the opening kickoff, went on a 10-play, 79-yard drive, 4 minutes, 37 seconds, and scored on a Darius Cooper 33-yard touchdown pass. The Yotes responded with a 15-play, 75-yard drive that took almost 10 minutes off the clock. And essentially, the entire first quarter was over with a score of 7-7 after Travis Tice ran one in with 36 seconds left in the first quarter. Cody Jackson then caught a 43-yard touchdown pass for the Texans to put them up 14-7. Travis Tice scored another 1-yard touchdown run. It was 14-14. And then with about 38 seconds left in the half, Darius Cooper did some Darius Cooper things and caught a 20-yard touchdown pass from their quarterback to put the Texans up 21-14. Zeke Mata did attempt a really long field goal. It was 47 yards, I believe, right before half, but that was not successful, and so the Yotes trailed 21-14 at halftime. In the third quarter, we still had not seen the Tarleton State punter yet, but in the third quarter, Keandre Jones-Logan caught the strangest 5-yard touchdown pass reception in the history of the world, maybe potentially. It was Bauman rolling out to the left, throwing way across his body to the right. Receiver was open, hit him, flew up in the air, and Keandre just happened to be in the right place at the right time and hold it in.
I never asked who it was. The tight end, right? I couldn't see from where we were at.
47 or 49.
Oh, it was 40. Okay.
Yeah. I should know his name, but I don't.
Well, either way, spectacular play. They reviewed it. It was that questionable, apparently. They did review it and confirmed that via replay. So that one tied the game up at 21 apiece. Darius Cooper, I don't know if you've heard that name before, but he caught a 23-yard touchdown pass again in the ensuing possession to put the Texans up 28-21. And then Travis Tice responded, 3 touchdowns for him with a 2-yard touchdown run. Tied up right away, 1 minute into the fourth quarter. At this point, it was kind of looking like we were going to go down to the wire. I made my classic, I'm going to take off and beat the traffic joke. I never leave a game early, folks. Don't worry. That's not me. If I leave early, something really has gone bad at that point. And then, the Texans did kick a field goal to go up 31-28, but that was all she wrote. The Yotes defense locked down and made a couple interceptions after that. Carter Bell also scored on a 19-yard touchdown pass from Aiden Bauman. The game day programs were going crazy up in the stands. And then one of the most electric plays I think I have seen in quite a while, Karan Adams on a 70-yard touchdown run with 5 minutes and 13 seconds left to seal the deal. And I don't want to say the term broken ankles. I think he broke 2 dudes in half from the Texans on that run with his juke. It was spectacular.
If folks haven't seen it yet, just if you're on Twitter or X, go search South Dakota football. They tweeted the video of the run, and they freeze frame the guy getting his ankles broken and emphasize him. He got put through the spin cycle, man. That was insane.
Yeah.
He ended up on both knees, and his shoulder blades almost touched the turf. Was how much
he's literally back like this.
Yeah, it was something else. I'm not saying I would have done any better against it. Honestly, it was a spectacular play by Mr. Adams. But
I would have just been go ahead. I'm not even going to try to dance with you here. Go. So that's why I never amounted to anything in football.
So the final was 42-31. You guys, I know on that play, that touchdown run by Karan Adams, you guys both were kind of faked out by the eye candy going on in the offensive backfield. Neither of you even knew he had the ball, right?
No, I thought Travis Tice had the ball, and I was watching him, and he ran literally into the back of an offensive lineman. And I was, what are you doing? And Chad said, what a great play. And then that's when my eyes finally found Karan, who was running 80 miles an hour and breaking ankles, like we mentioned, downfield. So I missed the first part of the play. I totally did. I was watching Travis Tice.
I was the same. And then I think, Chad, you hit us there he goes. I was like, okay, he is gone. In my head, I'm doing the Paul Allen, and he is loose down the it was great.
Okay, so number one, whenever a play like that happens, you obviously want to get the ball in the hands of speedy guys, right? Speedy, shifty guys. And when they can get the edge, turn the corner on the edge, that's always a good sign on those type of plays. Because if the defense can just keep them running, east-west as opposed to north-south, I'm saying sideline to sideline as opposed to end zone to end zone. That's always a good thing for the defense. But as soon as that ball carrier is able to turn that upfield and start heading towards the goal line, man, that's a good thing. But just with those moves and the speed of Karan Adams, oh my goodness, that was something else. And he put on a show.
This
If you have
entire
not
back-
seen the video yet, just go out and find it and watch it. I don't want to, take anyone's glory here and try and share my screen and freeze up the internet, but it was amazing.
If you are watching this and you haven't, for some reason or listening, been to a game, or if you know folks that haven't been to a USD game, there's so many great facets to this team, but the running game, my God, I've never seen our backfield this talented. All of them. They're so fast and they're so smart with just being patient for the blocks. And then honestly, sometimes they're not patient. They're just like, I'm gone. I'm going to get to the outside and I'm gone. And it's just so much fun to watch. So if you have people that just tell them you got to come to Vermilion and see these guys run.
And I don't think people can appreciate the speed of this team until they see them in person. Because
TV is fast. When it's in person, it's completely different.
Right. All right. Well, let's pull up some stats on the game. Aiden Bauman finished 18 for 22. Oh, my goodness. That's a phenomenal percentage there. 213 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. And their head coach actually said in the post-game press conference, that was kind of the thing that lost them the game was they turned the ball over and we did not. USD did not in the game.
Yep.
Just phenomenal ball security there. Bauman did a great job of not throwing things away, and he completed all but 4 passes. So spectacular job by him. Jordan mentioned the offensive backfield. Travis Tice had 25 carries, 130 yards, 3 touchdowns, 4 catches for 40 yards. Charles Pierre Jr. had 9 carries for 80 yards. I don't know if you guys are good at math. That's almost 9 yards per carry. Okay. Just spectacular average here. And then Karan Adams, as we mentioned, just, absolutely breaking ankles on that 70-yard touchdown run. Also had a catch for 21 yards. Carter Bell finished with 5 catches for 98 yards and a touchdown. And then Keandre Jones-Logan had 4 catches and finished with that touchdown that we mentioned earlier. Defensively for the Yotes, Gary Bryant and Blake Holden had 8 tackles each, and McKeese Grace had 7 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, and a PBU. It was a 4th down late in the game. He ended up knocking that one down. So great play by him. And then Tim White, Mike Reed, and Shahid Barros all had 1 interception. And so that kind of did it for the Yotes for the individual statistics. I don't know if you guys have any other thoughts from the game that you wanted to share here today. Jordan, I'll start with you.
Yeah, if you can keep me up if you want with the picture. Can you go back to the stats? Can you dual that? Yeah, that's perfect. Okay. So offensively, I thought it was a fantastic game. I mean, we outscored them. Let me pull it up here. Once again, second half, right? We outscored them 28-10 in the second half. I'm trying to pull up a first half, second half thing, but I won't waste the time looking that up. But Aiden,
this is a show prep you can't get everywhere else, folks.
You can't buy publicity like this. So, hey, the rushing, and this might have been just the timing of the plays between running back and forth with the kids with bathroom breaks. But I feel like Charles had a lot of his runs go for first downs. They were clutch runs for Charles. A lot of other people had it too. We had 15 rushing first downs. They had 16 passing first downs. Their receiver, Darius Cooper, might be the best opponent receiver I've ever seen in the Dome. He just had, it was like a varsity going up against a JV. And I don't mean that in a demeaning term to our secondary, but we haven't seen a receiver like that this year. So that was tricky to kind of match up with that. And there was some miscommunication. You go back and watch some of the coverages, just some blown coverages there that helped Darius get some yardage with that. But their running back, Kayvon Britton, only getting 87 yards. And we had talked a lot about this running back coming in and the FCS Nations folks and like people that covered the whole country with FCS, like he's a really, really good running back. And we held him to 86 yards and 3.6 yards per carry. So the defense, you're right. We got punched in the mouth like we have first, like a lot of our games, but this team just in the second half dials it up another notch that it was great to see. I don't really have anything negative to complain about. I mean, it would have been nice to get more pressure on the quarterback, right? But I think that was just the game plan for Tarleton, was to hold Marquise and Blake Holden down and the others. But we'll get into UC Davis here in a second. But I thought great game overall.
Yeah, I would agree. It is. We mentioned that we didn't see the punter in the first half. We didn't see him the whole game. I know John Thayer asked this question, and he's still trying to figure out when's the last time a team has scored 30 points, put up 477 yards total offense, did not punt, and lost the game. Definitely an anomaly there. If it wasn't for the 3 interceptions there, I think, which all came in the second half. It was, if you had the ball, you went down and scored, with the exception of those 3 picks. So super exciting game. I would like to go back to watch it just because based where I was, like we mentioned, we were in the president's suite. So you're taking in that kind of atmosphere and the folks that were coming in and out of the suite. And I just kind of wonder what I missed had I been sitting in section M, row 3. So overall, super exciting. It was a blast. Obviously the offense played great. The defense played great when they had to. Mm-hmm. And we're on to, there's 8 teams left and we're one of them.
I always feel bad when I'm in situations like that because people try to talk to me. And if a play starts, I'm sorry. Maybe social cues ignored. I'm going to look away from you and I'm going to watch the play. And I'm not listening to what you're saying anymore. So I apologize if I offended anyone on Saturday, but that's the way I roll when I'm at a football game. When a play happens, that's what I'm focused on. So it is what it is.
Now, are you like that watching it on TV too? Because I'm that way too. If someone tries to bring up any sort of topic and I'm watching obviously USD or Notre Dame or Minnesota Vikings, and it's like, can this just – we have 40 seconds in between plays. You can kind of chop your story up there. But
that's the thing with football is there's a lot of time between plays and people need to be strategic about doing it. And I think part of my deal is working radio. I know – as soon as the play starts, I need to get it back to the play-by-play guy as quickly as I can because I don't want to be talking while a play is happening. That's my goal when I do radio games. So that's when I'm like, okay, I need to shut up and pay attention to what's happening out there so that I can talk about it after that play is over with. But that's just my own personal perspective. I'm going to grumble a little bit here. I did agree with Jordan's assessment that USD's defensive game plan was maybe a little bit questionable there in the first half. I'll go ahead and say that. The fact Tarleton did that weird thing where they, the quarterback stood there and essentially held it right in the belly of the running back for a second and a half, 2 seconds. Sometimes it felt like 47 seconds, held it right there in the belly of the running back. Just waiting for something to happen. And USD was not getting any pressure on that to make him decide what to do. And those defensive backs really were put in a tough position a few times where, is it a run play? Is it a pass play? What am I supposed to do here? And I think that in the first half really ended up hurting the Yotes. In the second half, they kind of got that cleaned up a little bit and did a little bit better job of reacting and reading what was happening there. But that's my critique, Jordan. And if you're gonna go ahead and go after me on Twitter, I'm fine with that. I'll stand behind that.
Oh, if only I had access
in the box we were in also had the same assessment.
If only I had access to the little ticker bar and I could have been like breaking news. Chad Berger hates the defensive coordinator.
I don't hate him. I just question maybe a little bit of what was going on there in that first half.
We're fans. We're supposed to do that. Absolutely. I'm right there with you. In the first half, it was, you should have heard the comments in the men's restroom at halftime.
Yeah. And just remember, the opinions expressed on this show are solely those of the three of us. They are not the opinions of the University of South Dakota or the USD Athletic Department. So make sure we put that disclaimer out there one more time. So let's go ahead and go back. What's up next for the Yotes here? I'll pull up the top half of the bracket, and you can see here that Montana State plays Idaho State on Friday night. That we're not too concerned with that one right now. If you want to tune in, it's Friday night. It's at 8:00 p.m. Central on the mothership ESPN.
Go Vandals.
Yep, our game is going to be Saturday, December 14th. It's going to be at 2 p.m. Again, it's going to be on ESPN Plus, so you might as well just come to the Dome and watch it, right?
Yep.
No
Best
reason
way to watch it is in Vermillion at the Dakota Dome.
Absolutely.
I am deleting any posts in the fans group page asking for watch party locations. If it resides in the state of South Dakota, you need to be in Vermillion.
Yep, absolutely. And
I'll buy you lunch if you have to travel. I don't care.
That's kind of what it all comes down to is, you got to win that game. It doesn't, what else happens in the rest of the bracket doesn't really matter. It's all about UC Davis. And UC Davis came into this with the 5 seed. They were 10-2 during the regular season, and they kind of put a whooping on Illinois State, 42-10 on Saturday. So we kind of can. It's hard to compare scores and everything else, but how did we finish against Illinois State? I don't remember.
We didn't play them this year.
Oh, we didn't play Illinois State
next year. Oh. I think this next year starts the next 2-year tag team thing.
So we don't have common opponents or anything. I do know. So I do know several of the UC Davis coaches. Ironically, one of them was a former student of mine, and another one was a coach at a different university that I taught at the time. So I do know a couple of coaches. So I'm going to try to talk to them a little bit this week and hopefully get some insights as to what their game plan is. I'm sure they're willing to share that with the guy, on Twitter. So we'll see how that works out. But
it's are we doing the look ahead right now or later?
Let's do it right now. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a damn good football team coming in. Some argued that they should have had the 4 seed over us with the rankings. It's a really, really good team, very high potent offense, and then I didn't give their defense credit enough. And then after seeing some of the highlights against Illinois State, who I thought I picked Illinois State in my perfect bracket, Missouri Valley bias, I guess. But Yote fans, I understand, not knowing what the heck a Tarleton State is. So I get it if you were kind of like, it's first round game, whatever. You can't think like that against UC Davis. This is one of the top teams in the Big Sky Conference. They have a ton of weapons on offense that are up for all kinds of national awards, or they were finalists for awards. So if I may, I'll just start with a couple here. So Walter Payton Award finalist, their senior quarterback, Miles Hastings, is the first quarterback in school history to collect over 4,000 passing yards in a single season. The dude can sling the football. This last game, 25 of 33 and 3 touchdowns. And it's the second time he's thrown for at least 400 yards. They have a running back who is also a Walter Payton Award finalist. I probably will butcher it, but Lan Larison, he rushed for 104 yards, 3 touchdowns on 22 touches, while catching 3 footballs for 87 yards. And he also took 1 kickback for 19. So 210 all-purpose yards, according to their stat sheet. They've got a really good senior, CJ Hutton. And then on defensive end, they actually have a Buck Buchanan Award finalist, a redshirt junior linebacker, David Meyer, who set a school record with 64 solo sacks. That must be tackles. There's no way he's got 64 sacks on the season. But this is a really good football team coming in. So we can't take this mentality of, it's UC Davis. We beat them a couple years ago out there. It's, whatever. No, I think the spread is 5.5 early open for USD. But this is the 4-5 matchup. This is supposed to be close. Some argued that they should have been the 4 seed. So we're really lucky that we got the 4 seed and we're hosting this game. This team's going to need all of us in the stands helping them out. A lot of false starts. We need to get some penalties for UC Davis.
All right. So make sure you get out to the Dome this Saturday, 2:00 kickoff. Get out there and support the Yotes. If you don't, it's on you. Okay? We can't make you do anything. Quick note here, all of the Dakota hosted games were down in attendance a little bit this past weekend. I know, you guys probably know other people that could have come to the game and did not. I know people as well that I tried to, basically give tickets to and say, get down here and let's go. And they're like, oh, we're going to wait for next week. Don't have that mentality. Okay. Do not ever have that mentality. If you can go to a game,
Disney on Ice.
Yep. Jay Elson tweeted out, about the attendance and asking why people stay at home for these playoff games. And his options were money. Okay. It is expensive to go to a lot of games and everything else, right? By the time you get the tickets for the game, you pay for all the concessions and everything else. It's a little extra cash along the way. The second option was waiting for a bigger game. The third option was that it's a busier time of year. And then the fourth option was other. The busier time of year option actually is the leading vote getter right now with over 56% of the vote. So I know people have other stuff going on. Okay. Your kid can miss a basketball game. All right. Just tell the coach, if you need me to write him a note, I will. Okay. We'll try and get him excused, but you need to be at the Dakota Dome on Saturday. All right. No excuse. All right. Basketball games, whatever else. Okay. They'll not forget about the game that they saw at the Dakota Dome against UC Davis for the rest of their life. All right.
Some of those responses are bull crap on Jay's tweet. Like, people don't care about FCS football. I saw a couple people like, there's just no interest in it. I'm like, as a fan of one of the like Dakota, Montana, basically like the upper plains of the country, if you're a fan of any of those schools, you live FCS football. Not knocking the other schools, but just look at oh God, I think I just found my eye chart of the week.
All right, there we go. Glad I brought it up. All right, well, let's go ahead and wrap this one up. Mark, did you have anything you want to say?
No, I think you guys covered it. If the bracket goes chalk, this will be their last home game. So,
yep.
And I just think of guys like Travis Tice and a lot of those other seniors that stuck around here when they didn't have to. They could have gone somewhere else, but they chose to stay here and build something, and they certainly have. And I just feel like they deserve all the support we can give them here because we're on the brink of doing something pretty cool.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's jump back in. We're going to cover football. We'll have a recap of the game next week in our show. There's other podcasts that watch this, cover this stuff in a lot of depth and everything else. So tune into the pregame show, tune into those other podcasts, and follow along with what's going on there. But I did want to recap volleyball since we did not have a show last week. We did have an X Spaces show on Wednesday night where we did a recap of this. Jordan and I did. But volleyball had a huge Summit League tournament. I don't want to understate this. During our last show, we actually did talk about how they defeated Kansas City in the opening round of that one. They had to go and beat Omaha and then beat South Dakota State to win that Summit League championship. And those were teams that they had not won against all season. They were 0-4 combined versus those teams. And Omaha went in and just crushed them. And then South Dakota State took it to them in 5. And that was one of the funnest environments, that I was able to watch in the last couple of weeks here. And the Yotes finished with a 21-10 record and 10-6 in the Summit League, but Summit League champions, baby. That's all that matters. So kind of a cool deal. Took a couple pictures from the South Dakota volleyball Twitter page here when the ladies get the trophy and they've got confetti coming down while they take their picture. So all kinds of cool stuff here on the screen if you're watching. The bracket, like I said, beating Kansas City the first night, but then beating Omaha, who was the 2 seed, and then knocking off the number 1 seed, Jackrabbits. That was a really great run for the Yotes, and very proud of them. Kind of a challenging season, but to come out as champions was great. So, of course, with that championship came an automatic berth to the NCAA tournament. So they found out last Sunday that they were going to play against Creighton in Omaha, and that one didn't turn out so well. Creighton, bigger, just a great team. South Dakota lost all three of them in that one. Creighton finished with a 3-0 win on that. The attendance, 2,500 were there. It was a pretty decent Yote crowd, but just unable to get things going. That first set, 25-10, we were kind of lucky to get double digits on that one. It was kind of a beat down right away. And then second set, South Dakota actually played much better, but Creighton just had too much up there, so they won that one 25-17. And then the third set, they closed it out 25-14. Just a, I'm not going to say a heartbreaking loss. The Yotes were very fortunate to be in this tournament. Just played a really tough opponent, and Creighton had only lost two going into that one. I think it was to Nebraska and Louisville. So it's not like they lost to any, they're a pretty doggone good team in the country.
I think they're on a 22-game winning streak too, or match winning streak.
Yeah,
it was in the 20s.
Yep.
So they're legit.
Yeah.
The announcers had great things to say though about. They kept reiterating, this is a very veteran Creighton squad going up against a very young Coyote squad, and they were complimentary of USD at times during the match, but yeah, they were just taller and disappointing end of the season, but doesn't mean it was a disappointing season by any means at all.
I wouldn't say it was a disappointing end of the season at all. I think that Summit League tournament made it a very I just mean that match is kind of maybe not disappointing. A little bit of a letdown, but against a team like Creighton, it's difficult.
For sure.
So there's 5 seniors that are going to be gone here, and so I know Kylan Sealock will move on. Cheyenne Halady, Mark, who are the other ones? Help me.
Elena Wolf, Barrett Power, and Kiana Linwood would be the other ones. So.
Yep. So thanks to those ladies for all the things that they've done over the past, season for sure, and multiples if they've been around for more than one season. So excellent job, ladies. We're very proud of you and how the season turned out. And thanks for all those memories. Appreciate that. Very, very much looking forward to what's coming back next season for the Yotes. Hopefully, such a young team right now. A couple, mix of some seasoned players that have been around for a few years. Avery Van Hook, the setter, she's been around. She'll be a junior next year. Got Cameron Ferris, the libero. She's been around for a few years. So a few more seasoned players, but then the young players that the Yotes had playing a lot for them this season, the Morgan Bodies, the Lauren Medics, right? Just all those young freshmen that got a lot of valuable experience, just coming back next year and hopefully putting things together for the Yotes. So very excited about that.
Yeah. The talent pool is not dry by any stretch. So.
I think a couple of people won some Player of the Year stuff too, if I remember correctly. But I know. Let's see. I should have done more prep on this, but I think Lauren Medic may have won like a Newcomer of the Year for the Summit League or something like that. I don't remember exactly for sure how that turned out, but go check social media and tweet at me if I screwed it up. But great job by the Yote volleyball team. So let's go back and then talk about men's basketball. Men's basketball, their record this season is 7-4. They, as we mentioned earlier, played that Big Sky Summit Challenge, and Idaho State came to the SCSC on Wednesday. In that one, it was a 94-80 win. Chase Forte had 21 points, Isaac Bruns 18, Paul Bruns 14 points, Cameron Fens had 11 points. And from 3-point range, the Yotes were pretty much, en fuego, as they say. 11 for 21 in that game. That's 52%. Bench points, 34 points off the bench here for the guys. And some of the Gata stuff, the second chance points in the paint, and points off turnovers. You can see how that turned out for the Yotes. 14 second chance points, 30 in the paint, and 20 points off turnovers in that one. So that was a good win for the Yotes. Actually improved them to 7-3 on the season. And then Saturday went down to Flagstaff. They actually did spend some time in Phoenix, I think, with the Mercury. Mr. Tibbetts kind of showed them around a little bit and hosted them for some stuff. And that's a pretty cool thing that they were able to do. But then played the game on Saturday and took that tough 95-82 loss. Isaac Bruns finished with 22 points, Chase Forte with 15. But the Yotes were kind of cold from 3-point range in that game, 6 for 22, 27% there. Bench points had 32, second chance points 12, 42 points in the paint. Obviously, if the 3-pointers aren't going, you got to score somewhere. So the points in the paint came there. But the points off turnovers were not very existent there. So not generating a whole lot of turnovers, and that were leading to opportunities in that case. Guys, any kind of comments on the men's basketball week that was?
Yeah, so the Idaho State game, even though we won by 14 points and it kind of felt like we were in control the whole game, there was a stat that stuck out to me watching it. It was kind of concerning. We gave up 20 offensive rebounds. And I forget what their second chance points were. It was kind of low. We got fortunate there that they didn't turn those into points. And actually, the Northern Arizona game, we cleaned that up quite a bit. We actually, we lost the rebound and battle by 34-36. So we were only by 2, but we cleaned that up. The problem was that they shot almost 57% from the field. And like you mentioned, we couldn't hit a 3-pointer. So something to keep track of, really, with both the men and the women, the offensive rebounding that we're giving up. Something to kind of watch. It's been a kind of a bugaboo here, especially in some of the games that we've dropped. So,
yeah, it was. I'm gonna try to fill this really quick, but I won't find it. We are, I think, like 7th to last in entire D1 in defensive rebounding.
Right.
That's not a stat you want to be that low on. So that, yeah, not impressed with that for the Idaho State game, but good win, but was overshadowed by a bad loss, which looking at the box score, it looks like that was the difference, is we got to make a few more of those threes. It seemed like the game plan was adjusted with scoring in the paint, and rebounding was better, but not a good road loss. That's a bad road loss. Whatever.
All right.
Thanks.
Mark thinks it too.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, throw him under that too, huh?
Well, if anyone out there is watching on YouTube and you want to chime in, go ahead and do so, and we can add your comments in the show as well and respond to those. But yeah, everyone, little disappointed with the way that one turned out on Saturday, but I'm sure Coach Peterson will get them rebounded. Oh, yeah. There's a big one coming up here Tuesday night at home, and then Saturday at home. So a big week for the Yotes this coming week.
Might be some black jerseys there.
Well, we'll talk about that here in a little bit. Yeah.
Right.
Kind of exciting. The other women's basketball team that played in the Big Sky Summit Challenge here, the Yotes played Montana State. Didn't really show up on Wednesday. I know, Jordan, you were watching part of that one, kind of giving us updates here and there, watching the scoreboard as far as what was going on there, but just ice cold from 3-point range. I think we started out 0 for 18 and finished the game 3 for 24. That's 12.5%. And if you watch a lot of college basketball these days, you know that 3-point shooting is a large part of it. And so to finish 12.5% shooting is not optimal. Additionally, not getting a lot of second chance points, not getting much contribution from the bench either. Alexi Hempy had 14, Grace Larkins had 11, and only 4 other Yotes scored in the game. So just not getting a whole lot of contributions there offensively. Felt a little bit bad about that one, but Saturday morning the Yotes were playing at home, and so I was like, I'm going to go to this one. I'm going to cheer them on. Were you guys there? Sorry, were you two there? Oh, interesting. Okay, well, I sat there.
We're watching it.
Okay. Well, my wife and I were there.
Just on the other side of the 4 walls, Chad.
Okay, my wife and I were there cheering on the Yotes and against Northern Arizona, and it was a big win. Honestly, the Yotes played outstanding first half. Almost put up a 50 burger there the first half. It was, I think, 49-38 or something like that at the end of the first half. Second half, Northern Arizona made a couple runs. They actually took a lead with not much time left, and then Olivia Kiefer took over. I think the last minute and a half, 2 minutes of that game, hit 3 huge 3-pointers and just allowed the Yotes to pull away there at the end.
And that's important because why again, Olivia?
Because she happened to be on the program for the day. So yeah, kind of a big deal there. Yeah.
Someone knows something, man.
Yep. I don't know if the script writers liked it or what. I don't know how this all works, but spectacular. Grace Larkins finished with 21 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Carly Duffney had a good game, 16 points, 9 rebounds. Olivia Kiefer had the big 15 points in the big fourth quarter. Gabby Wilkie, pretty impressed with her on Saturday with 13 points, 8 rebounds. And Coral Mason putting in some work, getting 8 points and 8 rebounds as well. So, it's always one of those things. I always like the Viborg Hurley folks. I spent a lot of time in the summer down in the Swan Lake area. And so my wife's a graduate of Hurley too. She was a Bulldog. Now they're the Viborg Hurley Cougars, but Coral Mason did a good job there representing the Cougars in that one with those 8 rebounds. I like it when they're scrappy like that. But Yotes shot much better from 3-point range in this one, 13 for 28. That's 46. That's where teams want to shoot, right? You want to shoot between 40 and 50%. If you could shoot higher than that, obviously you do. But you don't want to shoot, in the 20 to 30% or 12% range. And just did a great job getting to the paint as well. 38 points to the paint in that game. Got a few more second chance points and just a great win for the Yotes to improve them to 4-6 on the season. So hopefully, some good things are coming up here for the Coyote women.
NAU was 59 in the net rankings for women's basketball. So that is a massive win. For as bad of a loss Montana State was, this was an even better win all around. 100%. That actually dropped them to in the 80s of the net ranking. So I'd rather not say what our net ranking is, but I can assure you we went up about 30 spots. So
and they had some really good players too. I know my wife turned to me a couple times and was like, "Wow, that number 2 is really fast," or something like that. So I mean, they had, and we had seen them in the WNIT last year. We kind of knew what to expect. But they're a really good team, and that was a good win for the Yotes.
Yes.
All right. So what's coming up this week? Well, we already mentioned the game versus UC Davis. It's at 2:00 Saturday, December 14th. Get there. That's all we have to say. We're not going to say any more about that. No. Men's basketball is at home. Tuesday versus Wyoming, the Cowboys. Okay. This is a big game. I don't know if you guys follow college basketball very closely, but Wyoming actually has a really solid squad this year. Sundance Wicks, who is their coach, he spent a little bit of time up, in the state of South Dakota. He's their head coach this year. He's got the team playing really good basketball, and they're coming to the SCSC, which is kind of a big deal for a Mountain West team to come out here and play. So the Yotes are going to wear black jerseys. It's got blackout for the game, so make sure we're all dressed in black clothing when we attend, but it's scheduled for 7 p.m. on Tuesday. Get to the game. All right. No excuse not to. Then Saturday, hosting Western Illinois. Western Illinois, former conference opponent. They took off a few years ago to go to someplace else, right?
Ohio Valley.
Yeah, but they're coming to the SCSC on Saturday. The time on the website is listed at 2, but I think they're going to reschedule that one, and so it's kind of up in the air. So pay attention to goyotes.com to see when that game will be scheduled for. I'm assuming they're not going to have it at the same time as the football game.
Probably not. I hope not.
There might only be like 10 people in the stands for the men's basketball game if they do that.
Yeah, but it's a good home week for the Yotes.
Yes.
I know it's finals week, so it's great to have the kids at home so they don't have to be out and about and try to make up their finals and reschedule final exams and things like that. So good job scheduling by Coach Peterson and the athletic department to make sure that we got a couple home games this week. Women's basketball is away on Tuesday at Northern Iowa. Not too far of a trip. That one's scheduled for 6 p.m. Jordan, do you know where Northern Iowa is in the net rankings?
Give me 5 seconds here and I'll find it.
Yeah.
106.
106. All right. So
I'm guessing. That's a guess.
Oh, I was like, look whose internet is back up to speed. Northern Iowa. They must be in as UNI. They sure are. Okay. They are 65th. So
yeah,
this is going to be another big game.
That's a big game, and it's at their place. So hopefully the Yotes can play well. Make sure to tune in. We hate the mirrored scheduling here where the men's team is home and the women's team is away on the same night, but it is staggered by an hour. So try to tune in. Make sure to follow along with what's happening there. And then Sunday, a home game versus Wyoming. We got another rematch game from the WNIT last year. This one is the team that knocked us off in the WNIT. And this one's at the SCSC, though, on Sunday at 1 o'clock. So if you can make it, get out there, support the Yotes. I know it would be much appreciated.
Might have to get a hotel room in Vermilion, maybe.
Saturday night?
Question mark?
Well, that would be a good way to go about it.
Prairie Inn, maybe? $30 a night? What?
All right. And now,
and that's just what they wanted to do there. And all things considered, again, as you see the eye chart cardboard cutout, how appropriate that.
Through the review, the eye chart made its way to the video board. It really injected
Let's go, Mark.
some energy.
for those of you that don't know at this point, I don't know what planet you are living on, but Mark Wendt is infamous for bringing his eye charts to games and holding them up when officials make questionable calls. So we are holding up our eye charts for anyone that makes questionable calls, whether it's in life, in games, or anywhere else for that matter. I do not remember. It's been so long since we've actually had a show here, but in this case, our last eye chart of the week was something about fans leaving the game early or Kansas City men's basketball bragging about their 100-point victory on social media. And fans that left early won that vote pretty handily, 83% on that one. Kansas City Ruse winning by 100 points and then bragging about it on social media got 17%. So that's how that one turned out. So let's go ahead and
honestly, I don't even know how to brag because I don't remember which one was mine, to be honest with you.
Yours was the fans leaving early.
It was, oh, okay.
Yeah, so you won, Jordan. Yeah.
Okay.
Congrats.
Just wanted to hear it come out of your mouth.
Yeah. Congrats. Well, Jordan, why don't you go ahead and give your eye chart for this week then?
Sure. I'll try not to get too long-winded because we're at time, but yeah, my eye chart of the week goes to fans that are obsessed or care about other schools' attendance. It got to be like annoying, and then it's just amplified in the playoffs now that we've seen back to back, and we kind of get the playoffs and playing in December, like there's just other shit that happens to go on. I know that can kind of be backwards of what we were talking about earlier, but like we're trying to push USD. I don't care about Montana State, Brookings, Fargo. Like if their stadiums are half full, people have reasons they're not going. Like I think in the FCS Fans Nation page on Facebook, people were knocking Montana for their lack of crowd, and they still brought like 12, 15,000, whatever it was. And literally all the comments were like, it was like our last nice weekend to go hunting, so we were trying to get food for our families. I'm like, I just don't understand the obsession with other people's fan bases. We have a great fan base. We know that we have a lot of fans. Would we like to see more of them? Absolutely. But like stuff happens, right? And I'm not worried about Brooke. I mean, we're 9 years behind them technically, right? So if we want to pull up receipts of their attendance early on in their playoff and do the whole percentage of the stadium and the town thing, we'd love to do that. But just take what you can get. I'd love to see the Dome 80% capacity this weekend, but you guys know you were there this weekend, right? It was 50% full, and well, a little more than that, but they were loud. They were engaged. So who cares? I don't care about the other schools and what people show up. Whoever does, great. Root on for your team. I don't care. I'm not going to, so that's my eye chart of the week. I ended up going long-winded there, of course, but my eye chart of the week are fans obsessed with other schools' attendance.
Oh, sorry. I took a nap there for a minute, Jordan. That was a really long one. I'm going to go old school on this one, and I am going to say that for my eye chart of the week this week, I was sitting in the women's basketball game on Saturday morning. It was early afternoon, and I'm going to give my eye chart of the week to Jeremy McHugh, Nick Marshall, and Missy Brooks, the actual officials of the women's basketball game against NAU on Saturday. There were several questionable calls near the end of that game, and unfortunately, we needed an eye chart in there to hold up to let those three know that they were maybe had some questionable vision that could have needed a little bit of checking, but we did not have an eye chart in there, so they get my eye chart of the week.
The amount of people that have mentioned that I was not at that basketball game is extremely high. And so I apologize. It won't happen again. My eye chart of the week is going to go to one of our friends from Tarleton State, the gentleman that runs the Barstool account on the Twitter, or X as some people call it now, was bar hopping Friday night in Vermilion, and apparently ended up getting kicked out of an establishment in downtown Vermilion for slapping one of our female students. Hard to imagine being any lower than that. So my eye chart of the week is the Tarleton State Barstool account runner.
Yep. Tarleton's still not a state, FYI.
What, do you have one too many ice holes or what? Jeez Louise. What a jerk.
Yeah. Well, that is our eye chart of the week. Make sure to go on Twitter, X, and vote for our eye chart of the week. You can do that by going to our account at HowlWithUs3 to make sure to vote. Try to get more than 12 votes this week, people. We need a little bit more love out there on the Twitter. Like I said, you can go to at HowlWithUs3 and vote for the eye chart of the week. Any final comments before we take off here, guys?
Exciting week coming up. Like we mentioned several times, your best place to be is in Vermilion. So find a way to get there, and we'll see you there.
Amen. And track had a great weekend up in Brookings. Go to goyotes.com to check out all the records again that were broken. We're going to see more of that in the spring semester, but big weekend for basketball teams to continue to get back on track. And then, yeah, we'll see everyone in Vermilion. Tailgate opens at 10, 9?
Or whenever you can move the gate.
That's fair.
All right. Fair. All right. And pay attention to when that basketball game is going to be rescheduled for as well. We'll try
Schedule it after. Schedule it after.
Well, yeah, if we had any poll, it would be after, but we'll do the best we can. All right. For Mark Wentz, for Jordan Decker, I'm Chad Berger. Until next time, go Yotes.
Go Yotes.